The Browns play the Eagles this week, and the Eagles, they come into this game with a 3-5-1 record. But they are a team that, in my opinion, matches up more favorably than a team that's better, like Houston did against the Browns. They have some strengths, and when I say they, I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, have some strengths in some areas that have caused problems for this specific Browns team in the previous part of the year. So, does this mean that the Browns are in trouble? Well, let's talk about it. And real quick, before I get into this preview, I have to give a shout out to the Patreon members. Right now, we are 122 strong. I am hoping the goal is to get to 150 Patreon members by the end of the month. Can we do it? We'll see. But without further ado, let me give out these dog checks. And as always, it starts with Michael Matique, Greg Ealer, Seth Harrison, Corporal Nick Lopez, Nick Nasty, James Nemo, Mac House, Reeve Herbst, Justin Cole, Philip Wilcoxon, Marie Vibert, Timmy McClure, Keith Anderson, Joshua Still, Sean Barron, Goggles Pisano, Dom Gazzulo, Ian Whitaker, Colin 216, Anthony Latham, Christian, Matt Bond, Dave Strong, Michael Stone, Stowe Train, Charles Work, Dan in West Texas, Billy, Michael Holdenack, Jarrett Austin, Moose Gentry, Patrick F. Austin, Mark Burnett, Andre Griffin, Otis Wolf, IT Rex, Austin Bolin, Jesus Serrano, Chris Foams, Ethan Rindauer, Buds Roland, Masayua, the Picktown Browns backers, Mark Kahn, Beerman069, John Alvord, Max Aldojo, and CK. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all for joining the Patreon, and thank you for joining the dog check tier. It is such a big help in these uncertain times. And also, if you're interested, I do have merch available. It's the Bot Squad. I've seen some confusion in the comment section. The reason I call it Bot Squad and I call you guys the Bot Squad is because YouTube has not paid me since September 15th, and their reasoning is that everybody who is watching my videos must be a bot. So if everybody watching this video is an invalid click, is a bot, then we might as well try our best to roll with that punch and say that we are the Bot Squad. And that's why that shirt exists. If you're interested in buying some merch, check it out. Links are in the description as always. So while the Eagles are not a great team, I think they pose some interesting questions for this Cleveland Browns team. Questions like, can Baker keep up his pocket progression in dirty pockets? Because he's going to see some dirty pockets this week. Can the Browns defense stop a good rushing attack? They got ran all over by Las Vegas. Was that a fluke, or is that the normal when good running games come in here? Now, last week they did a good job, but that was against one of the worst rushing attacks in football, minus David Johnson. And also another question is, will this Browns front four be able to generate enough pressure without a blitz to be able to be effective? The answer to these questions will be crucial to this team's ability to secure a playoff spot in a crowded AFC wildcard picture. And this week will be a test in some very, very crucial areas. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the defense. The Eagles' offensive line, if you just look at the stats, can tell many different stories based on what stats you put emphasis on and what do you think is most important, because there are stats that indicate that the Eagles have a terrible offensive line. There are also numbers that will indicate that the Eagles have a decent offensive line. What are the numbers that indicate that they're terrible? Well, they're second most in pressures allowed in the NFL, and they have the second highest pressure percentage. Also, if you look at PFF grades, if that means anything to you, Jason Kelsey and Matt Pryor, the center and the right guard for this team, have been mediocre in pass blocking. But the play of Jason Peters and Lane Johnson has been phenomenal and has really covered up a lot of those holes in that area. So when it comes to Myles Garrett, is this going to be a big Myles Garrett day? I don't know, because at the beginning of the season, the Eagles looked like easy pickings on the offensive line. But now, coming into into this game, they have been much better. So I honestly don't know how to gauge this offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles and where they're at because they've been so up and down throughout the year. I mean, I remember a game in this season against Cincinnati where Jason Peters just looked like he was done in the NFL, but now he's back to playing at, quite frankly, Jason Peters type levels when he was signed on a one-year deal. We don't know what this offensive line is really like with the Eagles, but we do know it's probably going to be as good and similarly structured to the Houston Texans, who have a lot of strength on the outside edges of their offensive line, but not a lot in the middle. Same thing with the Philadelphia Eagles. So Myles Garrett had a good game against the Houston Texans. Will that carry over to the Eagles? Some suggestions say that it will. Some suggestions say that it won't. Now, when it comes to the Browns' defense's ability to stop Carson Wentz, that's a little bit more simple. If the Browns have to blitz, Carson's going to eat you up. If the Browns can't get pressure with the front four, Carson's going to eat you up. But if the Browns can get pressure with the front four, if Myles Garrett can be a consistent force all game, then, well, Carson Wentz is going to have some problems because that's what he's done all year, is have problems in those situations. Also, Carson Wentz has been incredibly streaky this year. Just look at his PFF grades. This is the most up and down I've seen quarterback play be in quite a while. Carson Wentz is either really good or flat awful this year for whatever reason. And I think that has a lot to do with his inability to play under pressure. And also, he's just an all-time reckless quarterback with the football. He will do very reckless things with the football. Speaking of that, Carson Wentz throws a lot of interceptions. And where he throws those interceptions is also important. He throws most of those interceptions in the middle of the field. And that middle portion of the field accounts for 7 of his 12 interceptions. And that's good for the Cleveland Browns because this secondary, while they have not been great in a lot of areas, they've been actually pretty solid when it comes to getting turnovers in that specific area of the field. So that's very good for the Browns. And that's a signal that if the Browns can get any type of pressure with that front four, they can make some turnovers happen. Also, this Browns defense has to prepare for an Eagles team that has a very, very good rushing attack. This is one of the better ones in the NFL, and the Browns just have not been great at defending it, and that's going to be a big question for this Cleveland Browns team. Can they defend the run? It's been a up and down question all season. They did good the first 2 games of the year. They've been awful for the other 6. Now it's time to show if they're going to be as bad as they were against Las Vegas or if that was a fluke in some respects. So the Browns have a lot to prove in that area. And again, this is a test that this Cleveland Browns team, this Cleveland Browns defense specifically, needs to pass. Because if they cannot stop the run, if they can get gashed as easily as Las Vegas gashed you, then you're going to be in for some long days against Baltimore, some very long days against Tennessee, some long days against Pittsburgh, some long days about a lot of teams going forward. Even Jacksonville can run the ball and can cause a lot of issues if you allow them to run the ball. So if the Browns want to make the playoffs, they got to be able to stop the run a little bit. So overall, for this defense, I think the game plan is going to be rather simple, or at least the hope for the defense is going to be rather simple. Pray that your front 4 players can get pressure. All of the other stuff, it does not matter if the Browns' front 4 can get pressure. Everything else that we talked about, the secondary, the linebackers, it does not matter. If you can get pressure, it's more than likely you're going to force Carson Wentz to throw some turnovers. You're going to be plus in the turnover percentage, and the Browns are going to be able to run the ball on this Eagles team. So if the Browns can get turnovers, if the Browns can get pressure with that front 4, they'll have a good day against Philly. But if they can't, it might be a longer day than some anticipate. Now, I think the offense is going to have a lot of options when it comes to attacking this Philadelphia Eagles defense because I think that they're a pretty mediocre defense except for one specific area. And that one specific area that they're great at is pass rushing. This team is the #1 PFF rated pass rush in the NFL, if you can believe it. They have the 4th most sacks in the NFL while having one of the lower blitz percentages in the NFL. And they also get a pressure on 25% of all dropbacks. So they are consistently in the pocket. Baker Mayfield's going to have to play with some dirty pockets this week. So it's going to be interesting to see if that footwork, if that improvement that we have been praising Baker Mayfield for making in the last few weeks. Is that going to hold up when those pockets aren't clean? Is Jedrick Wills going to hold up when those pass rushers are a little bit more mean and a little bit more nasty? Is when chaos arrives with everything going on, whoever's going to be on that offensive line, because it might be Kendall Lamb, it might be Chris Hubbard, it might be Jack Conklin. We don't know who's going to be on that right side, but somebody needs to be there. And more importantly, Baker Mayfield's going to need to be able to stay calm, step up, and make plays within a dirty pocket. And if he does that, if Baker Mayfield's able to do that consistently, that's a tremendously great sign for the Cleveland Browns. But if he's not, then all this progression that we thought we have seen with Baker Mayfield over the last few weeks might have been fool's gold. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be a big test for Baker Mayfield. Now, if they can protect Baker, or Baker can, get his footwork together and play with these dirty pockets, he's going to be able to slice up that soft zone. Any quarterback worth his own salt that's played against the Eagles has been able to slice up that soft zone if they weren't pressured. I see no difference for Baker Mayfield. Also, the Browns have the best running game in football, and the Eagles don't have a special run-stopping unit. Now, one of the things that I want to see the Cleveland Browns do is, instead of doing what they always do, and it works, the zone run, like that works, I want to see them add some more diversity to the run game. I want to see them run from the shotgun more often, especially this week, because I think it would be helpful with how often Philadelphia gets pressure in the backfield with Nick Chubb's vision and his ability to cut back. I think you're going to find some big plays there. Halfback draws are going to be something that I think you're going to be able to get some big plays from. Also, slip screens. I want to see the offense try to find different ways to get the ball in the hands of the running backs other than I formation and single back formation. I want to see them find different ways. I want to see pistol. I want to see shotgun. I want to see Kareem Hunt get the ball in shotgun because I think he sees the game better from that position. I just want to see some more variety in the run game, and I think this is a week where you have to do it because you're going to want to make this defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles uncomfortable, right? You can't let them get comfortable. You can't let them think they know what's coming. You always have to keep them on edge. That's how you're going to delay them. That's how you're going to slow them down on top of, your chips with your tight ends, your running backs, and also, your offensive linemen. But that's how you're going to be able to kind of choke this pass rush out so it doesn't overwhelm you and allow the mediocre parts of this Philadelphia defense to look better than they are. So I hope to see some nice wrinkles in this Kevin Stefanski offense. We saw some nice wrinkles last week. They pulled out the pistol formation. But I think this is a good week to do that because you just don't want that defensive line of Philadelphia to get comfortable and start to get in the rhythm because then they can start to disrupt and cause problems for you and maybe cause a turnover where you don't need it. So that's what I want to see for the Browns offense. Now let's go into a prediction. I think it's very likely the Browns win this game. I think the running game is going to be a huge factor. The weather might be a huge factor. And I think this is going to be a game where Myles Garrett, Larry Ogunjobi, and company are going to be able to get pressure. And if you're able to do that, you're going to have a very good game against Carson Wentz because if you get pressure on him, he's not the guy that looked like an MVP candidate. But if you blitz against him, if you can't get pressure, then he starts to look really good. So that's why I'm going to go with the Browns win. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.